it's interesting to hear that you were consolidating 5 different systems. And obviously, like every implementation, everybody wants kind of like their own customization, but it's important to, going back to what you say, keep it standard as much as you can. So that way the maintenance becomes a lot easier and the data integrity becomes a lot easier. And as you were going through this implementation, of course, you didn't know COVID was going to happen, right? So I'm sure there were other benefits as a result of this implementation, because I was mentioning before, during COVID, obviously we had a lot of staffing challenges. People really had to take care of the patient and they didn't have time to document. And I cannot imagine going through a new implementation during this time. So how did that look for you? And what were some of those benefits that you saw that you were not planning for, right?
So, tough question to answer. The decision was made to implement Epic with St. Joseph or Intermountain Health prior to the pandemic.
Mhm.
And so the scoping exercise and the amount of resources that it would take and the timeline, that was kind of more defined pre-pandemic staffing levels, right? So during the pandemic and post-pandemic, I think a lot of institutions were suffering from loss of employees and employee turnover and stuff like that. So that all of a sudden the implementation and the design and build didn't match the timeline because of lack of resources. Given our partnership with St. Joseph, we knew that we would greatly improve the flow of information to and from the two hospitals, and that would enhance our patient experience. And prior to this implementation, we had staff that would make sure documentation generated here would transfer over to St. Joseph, and we used every mechanism known: courier, faxing, direct messaging, but not one of those solution provided all the information on the patient to transfer over to St. Joseph or back to here. You had to use a combination of the three to get the whole thing over. Given our usage of the 5 disparate systems, we knew we gained remarkable administrative operational efficiencies by going over to Epic. And with the loss of staffing and everything, by being able to shrink where documentation was occurring, we gained those efficiencies. Not to say that staffing is still challenging in some areas as it is, but I'm glad we are where we are post-pandemic as opposed to using those 5 systems pre-pandemic.